This is the Pioneer DJ DDJ-XP1 controller for Rekordbox DJ and Rekordbox DVS. What is it? What does it do? What does Billy Lane think about it? Who does Billy Lane think it's for? Who the hell's Billy Lane? The DDJ-XP1 has some features that will be familiar to those who use a controller or a mixer like the Pioneer S9, and it also has some features that are exclusive just to this piece of hardware. Let's dig in. First of all, the build on this thing is really solid. Even though it is encased in mostly plastic, it definitely doesn't feel like a cheap, toyish type of piece of gear. It's built to last. It definitely has a great solid build quality to it. It runs off of bus power. There is no AC adapter. It just plugs into your USB port and starts working. The buttons have the same size and tactile feel as something like the DDJ-SX. So if you've used the DDJ-SX, then you probably pretty much already know how the buttons feel, and that's a good thing. The buttons are solid. You can bang on them and they'll take a beating. Got hella buttons, yo. So what's familiar about the DDJ-XP1? Well, lots of stuff. First of all, right up top in the middle, you've got your scrolling knob in order to go through all of your tracks, and then you've got your load buttons to load it on either deck. Double tapping the load does do instant doubles on either deck. You've got your activating your loop, and then you got your half and doubling of your loop. You've got your parameter or your page selection. You've also got lots of familiar things. Good old master tempo, our favorite, the beat sync. Quantize, that should be a familiar thing for those on the CDJ Nexus rigs. Also, we've got the different categories for the pads. And of course, the obvious thing about this is the pads. Normally a controller has about 8 pads. This one's going down to 16 per side, which gives you some extra features that are exclusive to this piece of gear, and we'll get into that now. Exclusive feature number 1 is the silent cue. What silent cue does is it allows a turntable to start in full speed and in full synced BPM when pressing play, as opposed to waiting for the motor to torque up and causing a little bit of drag. So if you hit silent cue, it's turned your turntable into similar to a CDJ or controller when pressing play. It just kicks in full speed. Another super handy exclusive feature is a built-in internal button, which is great for those who use DVS. You already know when the needle's getting funky or starts running towards the middle of the turntable, you need to hit internal in order to reset, clean your needle, hit internal again, and you're good to go. And now you can do that on the controller without having to reach over to your laptop. This next one's not necessarily exclusive, but it is a hot ticket at the moment, and that is being able to shift and sync the key of the individual tracks with the other track running. In this situation, you can use these buttons right here. This goes your semitone up, semitone down, and then if you hold shift, you can see that the submenu is you can key sync or key reset. A little bit redundant with the key reset since hitting master tempo essentially does the same thing, but that is the key shifting abilities of the DDJ-XP1. Arguably the most desirable exclusive feature in the DDJ-XP1 is the ability to tone play with all 16 keys using the keyboard function of Pioneer Rekordbox DJ. And in order to get into that, you would hit shift and hot cue. That pulls it into keyboard mode. Now what it's doing here is it's asking me which cue point I want to assign to chromatically map out. We'll go ahead and choose number 1. Now what it's done is it's shifted the pitch up in this direction and down in this direction. So when I trigger the cue point, you can do what's called tone playing. That's the root note, right? Now we can so what that's for is for those Red Bull 3 style or DMC routines or if you like to do it live in the mix, more power to you. Those routines where you shift the riff from the song that's playing into the other song by basically playing it over a full octave of notes. So a very creative tool, and having 16 pads to be able to go up or down is an exclusive feature of the DDJ-XP1 and one of its biggest appeals. When you connect the DDJ-XP1 to your laptop, Rekordbox comes up and shows you this exclusive little dealie here. This is called the pad editor, and what happens when you click on it is it gives you an intuitive user interface to be able to customize the pad layout of your XP1 to your individual liking. So if you don't like the default settings, or if you want to set it up to only show the stuff that you use the most, say under this particular category, you want it to have just the stuff that you use all the time, you can definitely do that with ease using the DDJ-XP1 and the pad editor in Rekordbox DJ, something that's exclusive to Rekordbox DJ and the XP1 and is a super dope feature. In this situation, I've got cue points 1 through 4, sampler banks 1 through 4, loop roll different notes, transform different notes, a reverb, and then a half note echo out and a whole note echo out, all on the same 16 pad configuration, and all useful tools I would use in different situations when I'm in the mix of things. So yeah, something that's super handy and really easy to configure. Probably my favorite feature of the DDJ-XP1. Last on my list of exclusive features of the DDJ-XP1 would be the slide effects. Slide effects are enabled by plugging in the XP1 to your Rekordbox configuration and then checking the effects checkbox, and you can see that now there is a SFX1 category, and you've got 3 banks on this side, 3 banks on this side. You can configure the bank by clicking on the drop down menu, choosing which slide effect you want, and you are up and running. The way to activate them is to basically just slide your finger on the touch strip and it's good to go. That's the dub verb effect, and there are a bunch of effects. I'm not going to sit here and go through all of them. Another way to trigger it is to turn the hold button on and to just press it where it needs to be to your liking, and it'll stay there. Press the hold button again and it goes off. So yeah, that's the slide effects on the DDJ-XP1. Useful for if you want to create some tension in a track that maybe doesn't already exist there, or if you just want to get cheeky and go crazy with some nutty sounding effects. Can't believe you're still watching this. Who do I think this is for? Well, this is for somebody who owns a Nexus rig and wants more controller-esque functionality in their setup. If you are also a DVS user and need a Pioneer DJ DVS license to begin with, let alone the functionality of control pads, tone play, things of that nature, this is definitely for you as well. If you are somebody who is actively pursuing the Red Bull 3 style or DMC title, this is probably something that you're going to want to grab as well, considering that tone play and anything involving shifting the pitch is all the hotness right now when it comes to the quick trickery within DJing. Who is this not for? This is not for somebody who has one of these sitting right underneath it. As well as you can see, there is an awful lot of redundancy happening, a lot of the same functions on both of these controllers, and obviously Rekordbox's features are completely mappable on things like an SX and all the old Serato controllers too. So if you already have a Pioneer controller, you're probably not going to want to add 32 more buttons to it unless you just need to have all those buttons for your extra tone play abilities. But in all honesty, if you're a mobile guy or if you're somebody who is not trying to win the belt, you're probably not going to need this unless you're running a Nexus rig or straight DVS. This video brought to you by the Sacramento DJ Alliance and 95 and 30 production. Thank you, Sean Hammond. Final thoughts. I think Pioneer DJ hit a home run with the DDJ-XP1. It's a very handy, very well built, very useful controller that brings all the functionality of the performance end of Rekordbox DJ right into the booth with you. So hats off to Pioneer for making a great piece of kit, and look forward to seeing what else they come out with.